Hi, guys. My name is Madison Davison, and I'm a third year Doctor of Occupational Therapy student here at West Virginia University. And I have created some learning modules, some introductory learning modules for you all. Um, these their purpose is going to serve as some brief introductory material to you on topics that are really going to be important for you to think about before you either start the Hearts of Gold program if you're accepted, or when you're beginning to kind of think about, is this a good program for me? Um, is this something I can really see benefit from for me and my family? Stuff like that. So, this is one of the modules. It's titled How Do I Know If a Service Dog is Right for Me? And there'll be two additional modules. But the focus of these is just to provide you all some brief introductory material to get you really thinking about some concepts before you start with Hearts of Gold. And these concepts, along with many, many other concepts, you will get way further in depth knowledge on if and when you're accepted to Hearts of Gold. So, without further ado, this one is called How Do I Know If a Service Dog is Right for Me? And again, I want to just say at the end of each module, on the very last slide, there'll be a link, a hyperlink at the bottom that you all will click. It just is going to take you to a very short Qualtrics quiz that is associated with each module. And I'll just have you fill out those questions. This is just going to ensure that you looked over the material within the slides, or you listen to this video, whichever one. If you want to read through it on your own, or you want to watch and listen to me, totally okay. So this one, how do I know if a service dog is right for me? So we want to talk about, why is this important? So self-evaluating and reflecting on the question that I just said, is a service dog really right for me, does allow for you to reflect to see if this is something that you really should consider before you even apply to the program. And there's a bunch of things that you can consider. I listed a few examples here, but again, this is not all encompassing. You want to consider your personality. Do you feel a dog will fit well with your personality? Do you think it will complement your personality well? But then again, do you also feel like um, you'd be a right fit for a dog? Um, Lifestyle. Are you very active? Are you not very active? Does your activity level fluctuate? Um, Financial situations. Are you guys good? Are you and your family in good financial standing to take on a service dog? Because there are ultimately going to be expenses that are associated with having a dog, just as there are with any other regular house pet. And we'll get into a little bit about more in detail about that here in a little bit. But you also can consider your needs for assistance. Is a dog going to be beneficial for you, for what you need and what you need out in life? Or is it going to be, more of a negative impact? You should think about this and share with any family members within the household as well, because ultimately, if you do go through a program like Hearts of Gold and get matched with a service dog, it's going to have an impact on their life too, because that dog is going to be coming home with you again, especially if they live in the house with you. So, just a few questions you can consider asking them. Will they be open to sharing their home with a service dog? And then how will their roles within the house change if there is a service dog? There's going to be certain tasks they might have to complete for the dog, like grooming. And I've mentioned that in another module, but just an example. So now I want to kind of talk about, just so everyone has a good foundation, what the difference is between service dogs and therapy dogs and emotional support dogs, because it is important to know and understand the difference before you, you know, apply or accept a position into a service dog program such as Hearts of Gold. So, initially, I want to start with service dogs. Those are defined as dogs that are specifically trained to perform tasks that mitigate their handler's disabilities. And I've provided a few examples here, such as retrieving dropped items, opening doors, um, Retrieving medications, opening doors. These are all tasks you'll see a lot of the times the Hearts of Gold people or staff members are training dogs to do. Um, One of the other big ones they train dogs to do is like tugging on a door. So at the facility, they'll have a um, like rope tied to a fridge or a washer and dryer, and they'll train a lot of the times the dog to tug on that so they can open the door for you. So that's just some examples of some stuff or some tasks the service dogs can do. It is really important to note though, service dogs are permitted to legally permitted to accompany their handlers in public areas, and that is covered under the ADA, which is the American Disabilities Act. So, therapy dogs. These are dogs that are trained to provide comfort, affection, and support to individuals in therapeutic settings, such as hospitals or schools. I know at WVU they have some therapy dogs on campus that students can kind of come in and pet and love on, and really just whenever they need it. And then emotional support dogs. Dogs that offer comfort and companionship to individuals who have emotional or psychological conditions. So, a good example of this is, and it's a pretty universal example for a lot of us, but it may help relieve symptoms of depression and anxiety. But another important note here is, and it's different from service dogs, but emotional support dogs do not have public access protection like service dogs do. So these are just some examples of some questions I might want to ask myself or yourself regarding a service dog. How much do I love dogs? How will my life look in a few years down the road? Will I enjoy answering questions or talking to others about my service dog? Is there something else that would better suit me and my disability? Will this be a positive or a negative impact on my life? And so, again, this is not all encompassing. This is just some examples of questions I provided. And here on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about, we'll break down each question a little bit. So, initially, how much do I love dogs? I like to bring this up because this is not just a short term commitment for you. This is a service dog. Dogs, as mentioned on the slide, have long lifespans. They're typically between 10 and 13 years. It will kind of vary depending on the breed, health status, anything like that, any pre existing conditions. But on average, it's 10 to 13 years. So this dog will be around for a very long time. So you really want to make sure you're a true dog person, you love your dog, because again, like I mentioned, this is a very long term commitment. How will my life look in a few years down the road? So I bring this up because I know life is never linear, and it never stays the same. Life is constantly changing for everyone on this planet. And it may be harder for individuals that have disabilities to picture, what their life will be like in a few years for various reasons. Again, it just is a lot of the unknowns. But you want to be sure to try to think about, where and how do I think I will be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now? And this is something that all of us should think about, honestly, but it is really important when you are considering a service dog where you see yourself. Will I enjoy answering questions or talking to others about my service dog? So it is no question that people view and look at individuals with service dogs when they are within the community due to personal opinions, whether that's good or bad. Wanting to pet a dog or thinking the dog is cute, whatever reason, you're going to get looked at for, could be either of those reasons or all of those reasons or something other. But the point is there's going to be people that come up to you and say, "Oh, why do you have this service dog?" Or, "Oh, can I pet your dog? They're so cute. Tell me a little bit about them." So you just have to be really willing and wanting to answer any questions someone may have about your service dog, both good and bad, because, you know, it's the world. There's going to be more than likely both. Is there something else that would better suit me and my disability? So there are very many there are many other aids to help people navigate life with their disabilities. And I just provide an example here, like technological aids. So you just really want to make sure that this is the best option for you. Will this be a positive or negative impact on my life? So, service dogs generally do have a positive impact on their handler's quality of life and overall well being, but there's a caveat with that. Each experience that somebody has with a service dog is individualized. It's just like what we do in occupational therapy. Our treatments are very individualized to that person. So you really want to reflect on your life and experiences to see if this would have more of a positive impact on mine and my family's life or a negative impact. So these are just other factors to take into consideration. Again, not all encompassing. This is just a few. So training is always going to be continuous. It always continues. Service dogs can be expensive. There can be challenges that arise with public access. Activities may take more time. Service dogs do take a lot of work. You do need to keep your dog active, and your life habits and routines may change because of your service dog. So, this is just kind of breaking down each consideration a little bit further. Training always continues, like I said. So, even though you and your dog pass the certification exam at the end, you still want to keep up with training, and commands at home is essential. It keeps your dog engaged and learning, and it provides good retention and carryover of skills that you all learned in Hearts of Gold for both you and your dog. So that's just key. You really want to make sure you have good carryover with that. Service dogs are expensive. So, there is a recommended amount of money to keep in mind for these service dogs, and Hearts of Gold really recommends about $2,500 per year. But you have to take into consideration expenses could potentially go over that. There are prices in food or price changes in food all of the time. Prices of supplies like dog beds and stuff vary. Veterinary visits are expensive, and all that can cause this number to potentially increase. So just really keep that in mind, especially as we have an ever-changing economy. Challenges with access. Not everyone may know the laws that ADA has put out regarding service dogs, which could potentially cause issues when trying to get into a business or organization. So you do need to be prepared at all times to fight and advocate, not physically fight, but fight as far as advocating for you and your service dogs. Knowing that it is a part of ADA that covers public access for service dogs. Some more considerations, activities may take longer. So things like grocery shopping, for example, which is the example I provided here, it may take longer because you might get stopped by other individuals, or your dog might get distracted for a very short period of time, which is another reason why training is so important to as far as continuation after the program. Service dogs do take a lot of work. They do require routine checkups, recertification periods, continued training, and way more. You need to keep them active. They're just like regular dogs. They will need routine and daily exercise. So, are you willing to walk them? Are you willing to go let them run somewhere? And are you willing to play with them? Those are so, so important. Life habits and routines may change. So, everyday habits, so making your bed, brushing your teeth, doing other household chores such as laundry, that may change with a service dog, and that's okay. Like I gave an example earlier, they might help you open your washer and dryer doors, or they might help you make your bed by pulling up another part of a cover for you. There's so many things that we can train service dogs to do. And routines may look different. So you might just need to alter the order you do things to accommodate your service dog. So, you might have to change the order of your morning routine or your nightly routine. So just expect that. So, despite all of these considerations and everything I've said, service dogs are just such an amazing asset to help enhance your quality of life and well being. And I've seen it firsthand at Hearts of Gold. They will be your forever companion. They are so sweet, so loving, so smart, and they are just will be your best friend for life. Um, Another disclaimer, more detailed information will be provided on these topics after admission into the program. So I really did want to reiterate on that. So that's all for this module. I have linked this Qualtrics quiz right here below on the bottom of the slide. So please take that and good luck with everything in the future. So if you watch this video, thanks for watching the video and I'll see you next time. Bye.